Now, today we are talking about the migrants that are said to be deported in Rwanda from the UK, following the passing of the bill by the Prime Minister Rishi Sunak. Latest effort to send some migrants to Rwanda finally won approval from the parliament hours after he pledged that deportation flights would begin in July. So once again, we appreciate your presence on the Alpha House YouTube channel. Remember to start off with subscribe, like and comment and share our videos in your networks. Now, today we are talking about the migrants that are said to be deported in Rwanda from the UK. This is following the passing of the bill by the Prime Minister Rishi Sunak on checking about the safety of Rwanda. So that's what we're talking about today. And as an African, I personally believe Rwanda is safe, and anywhere else in Africa. I don't know why UK is not safe with immigrants. However, let's start off the show. And before we do that, we want to start with giving a shout out to our members who've subscribed at a fee to support our channel. There's Dwight Davis, shout out to you. Brian Keith Wright, we appreciate your subscription. I am Shan KC, we appreciate you, and Belinda Whitehead, thanks for subscribing. You also should not be left behind. Please do subscribe and support us in the works that we do every now and then, just to keep this channel alive and to pass our information and the information that you need to know to you and to the world across. So yeah, British Prime Minister Sunak latest effort to send some migrants to Rwanda finally won approval from the parliament hours after he pledged that deportation flights would begin in July. In about 2 months' time, if all goes well, if the king signs this bill, then officially people will start being deported to Rwanda. This confirmation comes 2 years later, I think 3 prime ministers later, 4 or 5 home secretaries, and after a cancelled flight to Rwanda, which was to happen in 2022. So on the other hand, Rwanda says they are ready to receive these migrants, and they say that they've been ready to receive the migrants for the last 2 years. Of course, Rwanda has no major skirmishes or trouble going on since the genocide happening. So since then, that's 30 years ago, of course, Rwanda has been majorly at peace, and it has enjoyed a lot of peace in the last 30 years. So now they say they are ready to receive these migrants. Most of these migrants are from, most of them are from Ukraine, Middle East, and a lot of other blacks. So I'm not sure if these migrants themselves are comfortable being taken from a first world to a third world country. But if you're an immigrant, then you may not have much say in how your life is controlled, but also there's again the issue of human rights. So despite the passing of this bill, the UK Supreme Court had ruled out that Rwanda is not a safe destination for asylum seekers, but this bill overrules this. And it's not new for a world leader or just a leader of any nation to, disrespect court orders. We've even seen it here in our own country. A president has decided that they'll not follow something that has been passed by the courts. So again, it raises the question, do you believe that democracy exists in the first place, or is it just a fallacy where we imagine we have democracy? Because if a court can rule out that Rwanda is not a safe nation to deport people to, and then the House decides that no, we need to take these people to Rwanda, then it begs the question, is it an equal, it's what they refer to as the animal farm. Some animals are more equal than others. Here also some rules are more observed than other rules. I don't know, it's weird for leaders and how they make certain decisions. So human rights defenders also say that Rwanda does not offer enough freedoms of refugees, and it's a country where the freedom of speech is an issue, and we've had a lot of journalists and human rights activists who've had to leave the country because they fear that their lives are in danger in Rwanda. And it's not a thing of if, but there are stories of people who've been killed by the system, and even journalists have died because of critiquing the Kagame government. So that's something that we can only wait and see how it goes. Press freedom is often criticized in Rwanda. Of course, journalists have died and others have been jailed, some have disappeared in the reign of Kagame that has been the last 24 years where he's been in power. So according to the Committee to Protect Journalists, that is CPJ, 17 journalists have been killed in Rwanda between 1992 and 2024. This is the period that President Kagame has been in power. So when you hear the human rights organizations claim that Rwanda is not safe for deportees, then this could be one of the reasons why they are raising an alarm. So the asylum seekers will use Rwanda as a waiting bay, but they can also apply asylum and could become residents if they so wish. The question is this bill practical in the first place? The illegal immigrants enter UK via France on small boats, meaning everyone who enters this way is actually eligible for deportation. And that's about, so far the statistics that are there, that's about 52,000 people. Imagine as a country having to put 52,000 people on flights, ensuring they are fit to fly, they are healthy, all that goes into you taking someone on a flight to another country and fighting the legal challenges, because this is, of course, is going to come with legal challenges. So the statistics show that there are about 52,000 immigrants currently that are in the UK. And also the same statistics show that the number of people that British deported, the highest number that they ever deported in 1 year was 15,000. 1 year. So imagine if it's 2024 and they decide to deport people, the maximum they can do is 15,000. The biggest number they ever did was 15,000, and that was in 2012. And in the recent past, that number has gone down to about 5,000 a year. Of course, this comes with the challenges. The legal challenges are actually the biggest because there are court cases that are ongoing. So they may not be able really to drop so many people. So if they were to do 15,000 per year, that would require 3 years, assuming that no new entrants come in via the small boats. So if we were to do 15,000 for 52, that would take about 3 years and maybe 6 months to complete that number. The last flight that was scheduled in 2022 actually had a lesser number because it had a plan of 130 people only that were to be deported. That was on one flight. If the plan is the same, that means that it would take more than 300 flights to transfer 52,000 people. Do you think that plan is viable? And even if it's viable, then how many years would it take? And then what do they do on the borders to ensure that these immigrants who use the small boats to cross the channel do not do it? Is that even possible? I don't know. So 290, on the other hand, the biggest beneficiary might be President Kagame. Here is why. 290 million pounds is what Rwanda has received so far, and a further 100 million pounds is set to be sent in the next 2 years. Rwanda is making a fortune out of this, making it the real winner, because imagine injecting this amount of money in an economy, and I am sure this is more than what Rwanda's economy is at the current state. So if the president receives that money, I don't see why, if I was President Kagame, I wouldn't be saying no. This is money that will be used not just for these migrants, but for so many other uses in the economy. Rishi Sunak, the Prime Minister for UK, hopes that the Rwanda plan will keep his political future afloat by helping to stop the small boats crossing, and this could be a major reason why he's been pushing the bill. And something very interesting is that both the Prime Minister and the President of Rwanda are both set to face elections later this year. Actually, for Kagame, the elections for Rwanda are in July, so his is closer. So with this, Kagame's election being in July, where he'll be running his 4th term, of course, political interests are major on this asylum bill, and it's both-sided. For Kagame, any politician doing a campaign and election, you need money, so he wouldn't say no. For Sunak, it's because this will be one of the things that his party will look at, like he will have made a change that is major for the economy. Because if you're able to to about 52,000 people because the government of UK has to take care of them. So if you are able to let go such a huge number of people, then you have some money to also put in the economy of UK. So for them, it's both political interest from where I sit, and I see why nobody wants to let this go. Kagame has been president for 3 terms now, which the 3 terms have been running for 7 years, but with the 2017 amendments, of course, now he's allowed to run for 2 more terms of 5 years each. And this is something I'm sure he'd be happy to run this project for the next 5 years. And of course, it would be one of, if he plans to retire soon, would be one of the things he will look at and say as a retirement thing, you know, looking back as a president, would be one of the achievements he would say he has done, and the amount of money injected in the economy. So the endless Westminster fight over the policy has somewhat obscured the more fundamental questions of whether it will actually achieve what it promises, and this is to reduce the number of people making the crossing. This law basically is supposed to instill fear in people, because if, for instance, you leave Ukraine or Iran or Iraq or even Kenya and decide to go to cross over to the UK, most of the people who cross is basically to go and look out for a better future or a better life. But if you have it in mind and you've seen that if you go to the UK, you could end up being deported to Rwanda, it's supposed to instill fear. It's one of the worst human emotions to instill in people. But this is what they want to do, instill fear so that they reduce the numbers, so that now they're able to take care of the economy without worrying about the number of immigrants they have to deal with. If indeed the question for me would also be, if indeed they are genuine immigrants, say running away from war or other factors, why would you want to deport such people? Because, and just not just deport them back to their country, maybe you're just deporting them to Africa. Imagine if you're from a country where you have no idea where Africa is, then you land in UK and then you're put on the next flight to Africa and you have to begin life from zero. I think that's a bit inhuman of UK. Also, the fact that the law passed, the immigrants can be deported without a hearing, like you don't stand a chance. Like you land and you're, sent away. That would be a very bad way of treating human beings. Like we expect a lot of cases to come out of this. So even now it has passed, we may still be months away from knowing the answer. And other charity organizations have described this move as shameful, and they look forward to challenge some of these things in court. And meanwhile, for Rwanda, again, now that the law has been passed, another £50 million will be sent to the Kagame government, taking the cost to £290 million before a single flight has taken off. Imagine. They said in 7-8 weeks, that should be in July, is when the first flight takes off. But before then, Kagame is getting another £50 million for this project. I mean, if I was Kagame, I would never say no at all. This is good money for an economy. And I don't even think any African president would say no. Just tell me, if you're Kenyan, do you think if President Ruto was to get this chance of getting immigrants, he would say no, considering the amount of money that is set to be put in the economy? I don't think so. So for Sunak, the Rwanda policy is as much as political dividing line, a serious policy initiative. Of course, it's a very useful tool for the coming election campaign. And yeah, it's the same also for President Paul Kagame in Rwanda. And for the people, unfortunately, it may not be as good as it looks on paper. So yeah, that's the story of UK and Rwanda, and we can only wait and see if by July then we have the first flight, or if it doesn't happen, then what's next? So share with us in the comment section what you think about this whole immigrants transfer or deportation, and if you're part of the immigrants who've had to face this, you can also tell us what you think and what this means for you and your future as a person and the future of these immigrants in Rwanda. Thanks for watching.